It's starting to get cold, and it's about to get very cold. I hope you're actually paying attention to what's happening right now, because Germany just did the unthinkable this morning. They turned down an overture from Vladimir Putin to deliver natural gas via the Nord Stream pipeline. Yeah, the one that was blown up. Yeah, they got one of the pipes back up and running again. And Germany said, no thank you, because of pressure from the WEF and the United States. No thanks, they said. You've lost your freaking minds. Germans are taking to the streets, protesting this war on fossil fuels. Guys, this man-made destruction of the West is being sped up by these diabolical globalists, and it's about to get a whole lot worse unless we stop them. The destruction of Europe, the destruction of America, is being sped up by the war in Ukraine. Now, we just saw an amazing moment where the head of one of the biggest banks in the world dropped a based truth bomb on Klaus Schwab's head. I'm going to show you that in a minute. You're not going to believe it. But first, some context here. Just look at Germany. Germans are getting desperate. They've actually never had to deal with this before. They turn off their nuclear power. The U.S. blows up a pipeline bringing natural gas to their country, so they have no fuel. They have food shortages. They're about to run out of butter. Yeah, running out of butter in time for the holidays. And they're freaking out. They're taking to the streets demanding change. And I would be too. They're taking to the streets burning energy bills, saying we're not paying these energy bills because of these ridiculous energy prices. How are they going to heat their homes? The head of Russia's gas giant Gazprom said in an interview with Bloomberg last night that Europe could freeze to death. Quote, winter can be relatively warm, but 1 week or even 5 days will be abnormally cold, he says. And it's possible that whole towns and lands, God forbid, will freeze. Yes, he said that. Whole towns will freeze. Some more context for you. Something amazing was just produced using artificial intelligence. Yes, a computer program, which is smarter than these idiots in the World Economic Forum. They took the latest data on fuel shortages, green energy policies, and people being unable to heat their homes, and they put it together in a stunning computer model of what's happening and what's coming this winter. I want you to watch it, and I want you to wait until you see the part about mold. It is absolutely frightening. Watch this. So that was done using data and artificial intelligence. So no emotion involved, no politics, and that was the result. These globalists are morons, and they created a situation that gives these emerging rising markets power like India, Brazil, Russia, the ultimate leverage. Guys, we are being used like pawns on a chessboard right now, and we can't let it happen. We are about to see massive food shortages and a total destruction of the American and European farming system. It's happening right now. Just ask any farmer what they're paying for seeds, what they're paying for energy, what they're paying for fertilizer, and it will astonish you.
Fertilizer is up 250% from what I was paying 2 years ago. 250% increase on fertilizer. We have diesel fuel is more than 100% more. Seeds are 300% more, and they are manipulating the input cost for all the farmers in this country to reduce the acres. So this year is the first time in my lifetime that I've ever reduced the amount of acreage that I grow. We've always been growing and growing and growing, and this year we actually cut our farm back to about half.
Hundreds of percent increases in fertilizer, hundreds of percent increases in energy costs, all because these globalists want to destroy the old system. The system that, by the way, has lifted millions of people out of poverty with oil and gas and nuclear energy. Over the last 100 years, poverty has plunged to its lowest levels in history. And you can thank fossil fuels for providing the machines and the power to lift people out of poverty. That's right, but they don't want to admit that. 2 weeks ago, the United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline in the largest eco-terrorist attack in the world since 9/11. Klaus Schwab was so damn happy about this because it's his dream to move the West away from Russian gas and oil. Biden's lackey, Antony Blinken, said we needed to use this sabotage of the pipeline as an opportunity to accelerate Klaus Schwab's dream.
Ultimately, this is also a tremendous opportunity. It's a tremendous opportunity to, once and for all, remove the dependence on Russian energy.
Yeah, what a moron. So yesterday, someone dropped a based truth bomb on Klaus Schwab's head at the World Economic Forum. The person that did this was the head of JP Morgan Bank, CEO Jamie Dimon. He pulled out a bomb, dropped it on Schwab's plan, and he told CNBC yesterday that the climate alarmists have got things completely backwards, and they put the world in a poorer position regarding energy. Watch.
How worried are you about Europe this winter, given everything that's going on in Ukraine and with the energy supply?
Well, I think we're getting energy completely wrong, which is, ever since this war started, you've known that Europe was going to have a problem, and that it was pretty predictable that Putin was going to cut off some gas and certain oil, and oil price would go up. And by the way, for the climate folks here, it's made the climate worse because people had this bad assumption that high oil prices and gas prices will reduce consumption, reduce CO2. No. Poor nations, India, China, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, are turning back on coal plants, as are rich nations called Germany, Netherlands, France. We have it completely backwards. So I would put it in a critical category. And this should be treated almost as a matter of war at this point, not as nothing short of that. So, people don't be surprised. Like, I was not surprised at Nord Stream 1 being blown up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another pipeline or a tanker in the wrong place.
He's absolutely right. These green globalists have gotten it all wrong. Just this morning, the Financial Times is reporting that European wind turbine companies will have to resort to layoffs because they're all financially struggling. So even as European politicians say that they like to focus on renewable energy, there will be no growth in the wind sector this year. None. That's because wind doesn't work when there is no wind and can only ever be a supplemental form of energy. There is no math that would allow wind to power the world we have. Solar, the same. No matter how much we want it, it's not going to happen. Meanwhile, the EU is trying to force member states to purchase oil and gas in groups, which would further handicap countries that are already struggling with gas supplies. Countries are bidding each other up to buy the oil that's not sanctioned, and the EU wants to force them to cooperate. So the EU admits that this will not lower prices anytime soon. Catastrophe. That's why we've partnered on this video with a company called Control. They are not waiting around for these globalists to screw things up any longer. They're actually a proactive company. They're actively building an energy system that helps buildings reduce energy so they don't have to go dark. They don't have to be at the mercy of these globalists. So Control has seen what these unelected billionaires are doing, and they're out in front of it, innovating. So for 100 years, we've had innovation, right, that's helped humanity confront issues like heat waves and hurricanes. We built air conditioning and structurally sound buildings. We used machines to do it. We used fossil fuels to help us advance. We need more companies doing the hard work to innovate. So this company, Control, has seen profits increase 599% year over year. That's almost a 600% increase. That's amazing. There's even new regulations starting to come from world governments. They will fine building owners and companies if their CO2 output per square foot is too high. This is absurd. This is medieval. But we know what happens when you try to fight against these laws. You lose. You are run out of business. That's what happens. Just look at the farmers in the Netherlands right now. Last week, a Dutch farmer sadly took his own life because he's losing his farm because of these laws. It just got too much for him. I spoke to academic researcher Ralph Scholhammer, who says these small businesses are losing because they simply can't change fast enough to meet these new laws. Watch.
They just move forward, right? And it's just starting to begin getting more and more this emergency measure character, which makes it even harder to formulate or to organize resistance. So this is really going to be a tough couple of months and coming up for the Dutch farmers, because as you correctly point out, it doesn't look like it's going to stop.
Again, we need innovation in this space right now, and Control is just a hidden, undervalued gem that's been growing incredibly in the past few years and will most likely get a big jump with everything that's going on in this space right now. I mean, just look at North America. Their buildings waste up to $60 billion in energy every year. And so control actually helps retrofit these buildings so that the energy is being used strategically and it's not being wasted. Again, humans innovate. That's what we do, right? And that's something these environmentalists don't seem to understand. They are willfully ignorant about that part of the equation. Alex Epstein, in his fantastic book called Fossil Future, explains how humans innovate year after year to meet the demands of our environment. But these globalists, like Klaus Schwab, never put that into their calculations. Never. As an investor, I'm always looking for companies like this that don't whine and don't cry about the current state of affairs, but they actually take action and they innovate. They help businesses. They help people move beyond what these globalists are doing. I think control is a smaller kind of version of like Honeywell. They help buildings control the energy use with sensors and artificial intelligence so that these companies don't have to shut down their businesses when governments put stricter energy laws on the books. And by the way, it's already happening. Here's Control's stock ticker. This morning, as of this recording, their share price is trading at 81 cents a share. So very cheap when you compare that we've seen profits increase by 599% year over year. I'm going to put both of their ticker symbols up here on the screen so you can go and do your own due diligence on this company. I'll also link it up in the description below. And I should mention this. I've gotten a lot of thank you notes from you guys when we cover certain companies here on the show like this because you've seen big profits from investing. So good for you. It's not me. I'm just showing you the sectors that I invest in. Gold, silver, and different commodities, and you are going out there and doing your own homework and taking action. So thank you for the kind notes, but it's really on you for taking action. So good on you guys, and we'll see you next time.